Hello students, welcome back to plant pathology classes. Today we will be talking about plant resistance. Plants have developed a complex defense system against diverse pests and pathogens. See, every time you cannot say that plants are falling prey to pathogens or disease causing microbes. It is sometimes that the plants become susceptible to the pathogen. In most of the cases, plants can defend themselves from the attack. Okay, how is this possible? This is possible by virtue of the defense mechanism that operates in the body of any living organism, not only plants. Once pathogens overcome this mechanical barriers to infection, plant receptors initiate signaling pathways driving the expression of defense response genes. See, suppose you have a leaf over here, a pathogen is here somewhere. The very attack at this region gives out signals to the rest of the plant. Okay, what will happen? This will initiate signaling pathways driving the expression of defense response genes. There are certain genes in the body of the plant that are responsible for this defense mechanism. Their expression will get accelerated and those genes will get activated. Plant immune systems rely on their ability to recognize enemy molecules. And what are enemy molecules? Enemy molecules are those disease causing propagules. Okay, they are able to recognize these enemy molecules. They carry out signal transduction and respond defensively through pathways involving many genes and their products. Okay, pathogens actively attempt to evade and interfere with response pathways. Pathogen associated molecular patterns. You should know this is a very important term which you will encounter in several plant pathology chapters, and you must know what is this. We call this PAM, pathogen associated molecular patterns. What are these? These are highly conserved molecules associated with groups of microbes that are recognized by pattern recognition receptors PRRs on the plant cell surfaces to activate the innate immune system. Suppose this is a plant cell. It has got certain receptors. Fine. These are certain receptors. Okay. Now, this is the pathogen. Fine. The pathogen gives out certain propagules like this. Other propagules can also be present. I'm just using a separate color for something else. Other types of propagules can also be present from some other pathogens which are not related to this plant. They can also be present. This receptor is specific for this one. So what is the next step then? This is the plant cell with the receptor. The receptor will only bind to these red particles. Okay, these are the these are the pathogen associated molecular patterns, and these are the PRR, pattern recognition receptor, and this is what? This is the plant cell. Fine. Now, what is PAMP triggered immunity? It is the first active defense response of plants, also referred to as activation of basal defenses after perception of PAMPs by PRRs. So once this PAMP or pathogen associated molecular patterns, okay, once these are recognized by the receptors, okay, once this recognition is done, then a battery of reaction starts in the body of the plant. This triggers the basal defenses. Okay, this is PAMP triggered immunity. Now, what is a pathogen? You know, a disease producing organism or biotic agent. Plant immunity is what? The inherent or induced capacity of plants to withstand or ward off biological attack by pathogens. See, by now, there is no one who doesn't know the meaning of the word immunity. Immunity has got the same meaning in all living organisms. Fine, be it you, be it me, be it any other animals, any other plants, immunity means the same. It is the power to defend one's own self against something that is unfavorable or some ward of certain types of biological attack by pathogens. So, to produce the disease, there must be an interaction between the host and the pathogen. Fine. Now, this host pathogen interaction or host parasite interaction will have two outcomes. One is compatible response, the other is incompatible response. When the response is compatible, this will result into disease, and when the interaction is incompatible, this will not result into any form of disease. Okay? Compatible means what? The pathogen is allowed to penetrate the plant cell and go inside. And if it is incompatible, it means what? The plant is defending itself. It is not allowing the pathogen to get inside its body. So resistance can be of four types: innate immunity, hyperactive responses, systemic acquired resistance or SAR, and RNA silencing. Resistance to pathogen establishment. This is done by first immunity. You have heard about this. You have a basic idea about this. It prevents pathogen from establishing itself due to innate structural or functional properties of the host. Okay, the innate structural and functional properties are such that will prevent the pathogen from establishing itself. That is, it will prevent the pathogen from growing, thriving, multiplying in the body of the host. What is hypersensitive reaction? Hypersensitivity prevents the pathogen survival and reproduction due to rapid death of the host plant cell. See, if the host plant cells are dying rapidly, the pathogen will not get nutrients, food to survive. Therefore, the spread will be checked immediately. Next, resistance to an established pathogen. What is this? This is where it restricts the ability of the pathogen to spread and produce after becoming established in the host. See, the pathogen might get established in the host, but its further spreading is stopped or restricted. Then we come to tolerance. The plant exhibits severe disease symptoms without a serious loss in yield. Many, in most of the cases, what do we see? If a plant is affected by an organism, a disease-causing organism, the first thing that happens is a healthy appearance changes, and the yield becomes less. It wilts and it no longer produces that many number of flowers when it was healthy. Then number of fruit decrease, so the yield is becoming less. But in case of tolerance, what will happen? They will exhibit severe disease symptoms, but loss in yield is not that serious. This is called tolerance. Now we'll come to defense mechanism in plants. Defense mechanism in plants can be passive, can be active. Okay. Now, passive defenses can be subdivided into two parts: physical barriers and chemical barriers. In physical barrier, we have wax, cuticular layer that's present outside the cell wall itself, then stomata, lenticels, all these are physical barriers. What are chemical barriers? They are nutrient deprivation, pH, phytoanticipants, and plant defenses. Next, coming to active defense. Active defense can also be classified into two types: rapid and delayed. In the first category, in rapid active defense, we see membrane function, oxidative burst, cell wall reinforcement, hypersensitive cell death, as I was just talking about, phytoalexin accumulation. Then we come to delayed active defenses. What are they? Pathogenesis related proteins or PR proteins, systemic acquired resistance, SAR, then pathogen containment. Now we'll talk about some preformed structures and compounds. Okay, these are already present in the plant before any attack of pathogen. What are the preformed structures? Plant cuticle, okay, present on the surface of the plant, the cell wall itself, certain antimicrobial chemicals like polyphenols, sesquiterpene, lactones, saponins, antimicrobial peptides are there. Okay, then root border cells are there, enzyme inhibitors are there, detoxifying enzymes are there. These detoxifying enzymes generally break down the pathogen derived toxin, the toxin that are present due to the presence of this pathogen. Those toxins are detoxified or broken down by certain enzymes in the plant. Receptors that perceive pathogen presence and activate inducible plant defenses. So certain receptors are there, they can perceive the pathogen presence and they activate inducible plant defenses. Now we'll see inducible post-infection plant defenses. So far we have talked about what is there before infection. Now we'll talk about what are post-infection plant defenses. Plant defenses that can be observed after the infection occurs, right? Coming to cell wall. Cell wall reinforcement, cell wall protein, cellulose, lignin, suberin, callose, all these. So complete cell wall reinforcement is observed sometimes. Antimicrobial chemicals including reactive oxygen species, ROS, ROS molecules like hydrogen peroxide or peroxynitrite, or more complex phytoalexins such as guanistin or amalexin. These generally come after the infection occurs. Antimicrobial proteins such as defensins, thionins, or PR1, then antimicrobial enzymes such as chitinases, beta-glucanases, or peroxidases. Right? Hypersensitive response is also a very important factor here. Rapid host cell death response associated with defense induction. So this is how we come to an end of our discussion. Thank you so much for joining me. Goodbye.